Yeah.
Like I still can't do anything like strong with this hand.
Oh yeah.
I've got a broken toe.
Right.
I mean,
Is the toe and the shoulder the same?
Same side.
Same side. So that side is just really brutal right now.
It's a rough side.
Man, it is tough getting old.
Yeah. And
Here's to good friends.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's sort of an oaky afterbirth.
What was that?
She did tell me to get a beer and some cheese fries over at Eskimo Joe's.
That's very nice, lovely. I only hope you feel this way when I'm done. Because I could destroy this night in 2 seconds.
Why is that funny?
Well, I think it's a bit funny to be trying to define nothing.
Smooth as a bourbon on a summer day. Strong as a peated scotch in the winter night. This is a fair warning. The Catholic Man Show is about to begin.
Slap some bacon on a biscuit and let's go. We're burning daylight.
Welcome to the Catholic Man Show. We're on the Lord's team, the winning side. So raise your glass. Adam Minahan here, sitting with David Niles. We have our best friend Juan in studio with us. No Jim today. He's a little ill, so he's not here today. Don't think about breaking in.
he just had a cough.
He had a little cough. Man cold. Not here today. Tough week for Catholic Man Show. Our website got hacked, so we're a little bit behind on posting episodes. We did recover our website though, thank goodness.
Can I just tell you, this is how I feel about this.
Okay.
And I don't say this because of what happened to our website, because really nothing happened to us, and
We got lucky, yeah.
That's not where this anger is coming from.
Okay.
But I think that people who try to like people for a living, like wherever they are, you know, because they're almost never in the U.S. because they get caught. But you know, like whether on Facebook, you know, cloning accounts just to try to scam people out of whatever. I think there's just special place in hell for these people. You know what I mean? Like
Dante does put people who are frauds.
Yeah,
the lowest levels
that's right.
of
Yeah, that's
hell.
right. Yeah, he does not. And it's like, that's right. Like one time my grandmother called me in frantic because she had just got off the phone with somebody who was telling them that I was in prison and that I needed money to make bail. And they put someone on the phone telling her they were me. And that they said oh, I just have a cold. That's why I don't sound normal. Grandma, I need you to send me $500 so I can get out of jail. And she called me, and I was like, Grandma, I'm not in jail. I'm driving.
Good news. Not in jail.
But it was hard for her
to process.
To believe me. I mean, it took her a minute, and it just made me so. It's like, how dare you? It's like, who do you guys think you are? Like, you've got to be the worst person on the entire planet. You know what I mean? It just drives me crazy. It's one of the things that makes my blood boil, and it just makes me mad.
It really grinds your gears.
It does, and there's a lot of these people out there, and so we need to pray for them.
Yes, I want to thank our patrons. Patreon.com/The Catholic Man Show is because of you guys, your support. We're able to avoid a lot worse off than what we could have been.
Yeah, because our website company really saved the day.
Right, and we couldn't afford that without support. So thank you so much.
They shut everything down right away before
it got too wild.
Before the evil people were able to really do anything.
So hey, we're having a little Irish whiskey.
Yeah, little Tullamore Dew. I've not seen this in before. I don't think.
The cider cask finish. Now we've obviously had. I think we've had Tullamore Dew stout cask finish.
Yeah.
Sherry cask finish. I think we've had, a lot of the finishes with Tullamore Dew. Tullamore Dew, it's triple distilled, as is most.
All Irish whiskey.
Yeah, most, not anymore.
Oh, they changed the rules?
Yeah, it used to be all triple.
Yeah, I thought it had to be triple distilled.
Yeah, but not anymore. I can't remember which one it is, but there's one that's not triple distilled.
And they're allowed to say Irish whiskey?
That's my understanding.
Because when we were in Ireland.
They said. Yeah, and I.
Like 6 months ago.
Gosh, has it only been 6 months?
Yeah. They were, that's the way it was, triple distilled.
But there's a new one out there.
Just go ahead and throw the tradition out the window, guys.
Yep.
Who cares?
So let's try it. I'm assuming it's going to be very apple heavy, but we're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Cheers. I always think that Irish whiskey is the great way to start your Irish game. It's not too sweet.
Your whiskey game?
Yeah. That's an Irish game?
Yeah.
Sorry, whiskey game.
Yeah, it's very approachable. Which I don't really
because
even
it's the
like.
triple
I
distilled.
don't even like saying that word when you're talking about whiskey. It's like, oh, it's so approachable. It's like, yeah, what is that? It's sort of like saying it's smooth, but it's just there's not a lot of Irish whiskey doesn't have a lot of complexity to it, but it's got some good flavor still. The kind of thing that everybody's gonna like.
It's not bad, not great, not bad. $35 bottle, I believe, $40 bottle. Something like that.
There's not a lot on the nose, and so it doesn't surprise me that there's not a whole lot on the palate either.
You can taste the apple at the end.
You can.
At least I can.
Yeah, no, I can too. Yeah, not great.
Not bad.
$35. It's about what you would expect, I think.
Now, what last week we had?
I liked Tullamore Dew.
Copper Dog.
Copper Dog, way better.
Yes.
$31.
$31.
I still need to go get me some of that Copper Dog.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good whiskey. Yeah, last week, let's see. What did we talk about last week? What was our episode on last week?
Guarding your children against romanticism.
Yes. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to that, go check that out. Big news as well. Would you like to tell them about Select International Tours?
Oh, it's official. We are going to the Holy Land in about a year.
From like right now.
Right now.
Or a little less than a year now.
Yeah, but about a year. So we are going to the Holy Land. We're actually doing a triple. It's a trifecta. So, we went to Ireland this last year. We had a great time. It was just a fantastic trip.
Yep.
And this is the way that these pilgrimages go, is that the people that you meet, you always kind of have a special bond with these people. And I think especially for us, I had never been to Ireland. It was and both of us, it was really our first kind of pilgrimage together. So the group that we went to Ireland with, I will always have fond, like a bond, right? And so we're going to the Holy Land in a year from now. The triple pilgrimage that we're doing: Holy Land, then Rome, and then Poland. I'm really excited. Holy Land, Rome, obviously for obvious reasons. Poland, we will be in Poland on Divine Mercy Sunday. I mean, so if you want to talk about the place to be on Divine Mercy Sunday,
so it's
in Poland.
Over a 3-year time period, right?
Yeah,
so,
3 years so 1 year.
Next year we're going to Holy Land. The year after that, we're going to go to Rome. Then the year after that, we're going to Poland.
3 separate trips, but you can sign up for them.
If you sign up for all 3, you get a big discount and some extra perks that Select International Tours is putting together.
Right.
To go for us. So if you go to selectinternationaltours.com/Catholic Man Show, you can find out more, or just Google.
And we'll do a whole podcast. We'll put out a whole podcast once we finalize the details for the Holy Land, which is actually, we're very close. We've actually got the details. We just need to decide, this is the rubber stamp it, so to speak.
Right. So I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
Oh, man, me too.
I think my parents are going to go.
Are they?
I'm pretty positive they're going to go.
And you're bringing your wife?
Possibly.
I'm bringing Lady Haley, or Lady Pamela.
Yeah,
I'm bringing your wife.
That'll be
weird. It's gonna be weird.
Well, now that my parents are going, that kind of throws throws a little kink into who's watching the kids.
You know what I think is if it comes down to it, you need to tell your parents to stay home and you take your wife with you to Holy Land.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure how it's all going to play out yet. But
yeah.
But
you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out.
So I'm excited about that.
Dude, me too. I am so excited about it.
Never been there before.
I've been to Rome, but obviously the Holy Land, I mean, that's the if you have one trip to take in your entire life. People say it's the Holy Land.
Well, so it's like, where it started, where it was established.
Yeah.
And then like where it's thriving. Those are the three places we're going. Where it started, the Holy Land, where it is established, Rome,
right.
And then where it's thriving right now in Poland.
Right.
Boom, boom, boom. It's going to be awesome.
Dude, I can't wait.
So, yeah, check that out. You can go to thecatholicmanshow.com. There's a link on thecatholicmanshow.com to find out more. You can just sign up to get updates on it if you don't have to commit to it right now. But I'm excited. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So what else? What else is going on? I feel like that.
Well, we're getting ready to do some traveling in a few weeks.
Oh, yeah, your annual 2-month vacation.
No.
Oh.
No, we're going to Michigan.
Oh, you and I.
Yeah, you and I.
Yeah. Sorry.
We've got the Alcuin Institute. We've got a lot of guests we're going to be recording with very soon.
Yes. Some heavy hitters.
Some big. That's what I was going to say. Heavy hitters. Some big
names.
Big guys.
I'm really excited to, both in stature and name.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not, but
can't wait to talk to the fat one.
But yeah, so we're going to Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan, in like a couple weeks, right?
3 weeks, I think.
3 weeks, and then the Alcuin Institute which is the Institute for Developing Catholic Culture here in the diocese, is hosting a Faith and Culture conference with Gladden Pappin, Patrick Deneen, and Chad Pecknold as the keynotes. But they're also bringing in basically everybody who submitted abstracts for breakout sessions. So there's like 20 people that are coming in on top of those three. Pat Flynn, Jim Madden, a Dominican priest, a handful of guys. So we're going to be just recording with all these guys.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
So that'll be great. And then we have Dr. Tim O'Malley. I was confirmed this week in July. Hopefully you'll be here. You may not be here.
We'll be here.
Okay. Awesome. So that'll be really exciting as well.
Yeah, we're going at the end of August this year to Michigan. We just calendared it.
Well, I'm really glad I didn't. Like plan around that this year, because I was just like we were just struggling and we were running late. Like we're already late on the game, trying to get people. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to book these and just hope that Dave is gonna be here.
I think we're gonna be there the last 2 weeks of August in Michigan.
That'll be perfect, because I think those are the dates that I actually don't have anybody.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I've never.
We have the All Saints Bourbon Night on the last week of August, so I guess I'll have to do that by myself. Awesome.
Get Jim to do it with you.
The Faith Formation Conference is, so that's another one.
Yum.
Faith Formation Conference. Kent Lanowski is going to be there. That'll be awesome. That's another guy, Kent Lanowski.
In August, the last 2 weeks of August?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
He will be in town. He wrote the book Vocation to Virtue. It was one of the books that we did for our book club. Phenomenal book.
Yeah, now it's hot in here.
AC kick back on.
Just now?
Yeah, I feel it. Okay. All right, let's roll one.
I'm still going to take this off. I'll put it back on if I need to. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. David Niall.
Uh-oh. David's mic just went out.
There we go.
He's back.
I'm David Niles, here with Adam Minahan. We got Juan on the buttons. Accidentally pulled my microphone cable out.
Just got excited.
Yeah, it's like it's supposed to be locked in there.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Anyway, so we got a lot of things coming up, but we were just talking about that. A lot of very exciting stuff. Mm-hmm. So make sure to sign up for it. If you're in town, definitely sign up for the conference right away, because
Yeah, it's almost.
Closing
yes.
reservations. I registered this afternoon, so
Oh, nice. After I sent that email out.
I'm in there. Yes,
Nice.
I think that was
The prompting.
the thing. Well, it's like I was gonna do it, but then when I saw the email,
I sent it to you as 2-1.
it's like, oh, good. Here's a link.
Yes.
I don't have to find it.
So. Good. So tonight, I wanted to talk about a topic, and really kind of just flesh out this idea. Because I'm supposed to be writing an article on it, and for me, I really have to. Actually, most of the articles that I've ever written, I come to you and want to be like, "Hey, what do you guys think about this?" And just like talk to you about it for a while, and then it kind of stirs up, and like I can kind of chew on it for a little bit, and then I can write the article.
Uh-huh.
But I'm supposed to be writing an article on this topic for Mother's Day is coming up, and so this idea of honor, we call this episode,
Before we get started on this,
Okay.
today is the Feast of St. Joseph the Worker.
Oh yes, I'm so glad you brought this up.
So I want to give you a shout out because Davey and I, we went to Lowe's today,
Yes,
which is really great.
it has begun, huh?
Yeah. So we picked him
So
out.
for those who don't know, why don't you?
Well, yeah. So I mean, I don't know if you got the idea from somewhere, or you had this idea of your own brain, but it's a great idea, no matter where it came from. So even if it was Adam's idea, don't hold that against him. That would be the genetic fallacy, and so you shouldn't
Do that.
Don't do that because
Right.
that would make you fallacious.
Right.
So the idea is on the Feast of St. Joseph the Worker that you go and get a tool for each one of your sons, right? Because St. Joseph is carpenter or mason or whatever he was. He worked with tools, okay, and he's a tool guy, and so. As they get older, each year they get a new tool, and it's a good tool. You're not going to like Harbor Freight.
The dollar bin.
Right, exactly. I mean, they got some good stuff at Harbor Freight, but I'm not trying to knock them.
They're not a sponsor.
No. Even if they were, I would still be honest about what it is. But and then that way, as they get older, and when they leave the house, they leave with a good set of tools
that they know how to use.
Right, exactly. So today he and I, we went and got the toolbox.
Nice.
Because it's like, I don't know when you get the toolbox. I think it's like, let's do it around. He's 2. He's almost 3. So I felt like this is the time. He's not going to remember it otherwise. And I was trying to decide what should be the first tool. I almost went with like a tape measurer, but he's not old enough.
Right.
So I was trying to think like, well, what is something he could actually do? So I got him a screwdriver because
nice.
He can.
Yeah.
And it's got the bit, like different bits. I haven't told him that there are different bits in the like the butt of this screwdriver.
Right. Don't do that yet.
He'll look for them and then lose them. And
right.
I am super anal about because I have a set like this that I've had for 10 years, and I have never lost a single one of these bits, right? And it's great because now I can carry just this this one screwdriver tool around with me, and no matter where I go, it's like, oh, I've got that. I mean, almost always,
right,
on the little thing that came with it. It's like, okay, there it is. I've got and it's always good to go. But I'm always super anal about like putting it back in the right spot, when you're done with it. And so, because I'm that way with mine, I know if I were to find, oh, he's taking these out and I'm, there's one in the carpet, it would bother me. So he doesn't know they're there. That's okay.
Sure.
But anyway, on the way to Lowe's, we were talking about St. Joseph and
right,
how he was a carpenter.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that most of the time, liturgical living is being able to just incorporate everyday life.
Yeah.
And it's the merging of Catholicism in everyday life. Right. So if you can go out, talk about tools, and then naturally be able to bring up, a saint that had these tools, used these tools.
Yeah.
It's a natural progression of learning about the faith while learning natural virtues.
And it's just great for your sons, no matter what age, because, but especially I think at this age, not that, he's 2. It's not like he knows how to use a screwdriver, but he now has like one more thing in common with me, right? It's like another reason to look up to Dad. And one that we mentioned, I think we mentioned this last weekend about how every child has the right to view their dad as a hero,
Right.
and that should be that way. You know, dad should be a hero, especially if like a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, like, because it's like they can't pick up if something weighs like 2 pounds, they're like struggling to carry it, and I can like throw it 100 yards. You know, it's like to them, they would look at you doing that. It's like he's the Hulk, like
Right.
You know, the way the Hulk can like launch a tank across the field. Dad, it's like basically the same. Okay, so it's just really great that, you know, now it's like, oh, I'm like Dad. You know, I have my own tools, and, you know, so as a dad, it's very satisfying.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Being able to spend that time with your sons is the best. So anyway, so I know that we have female listeners to the Catholic Man Show. If you're listening on Catholic radio or podcasts, we have female listeners. This is the episode that if you've not decided to tell your husband about the Catholic Man Show and you're still listening to the Catholic Man Show, this is the episode that
the one you just send to him.
That you send to him. Yes, because tonight we're going to talk about, we titled this episode, Honoring the Heart of the Home.
And if you're a wife, that's you.
That's you, right.
Congratulations.
So honoring the wife. Honoring your wife. And, you know, with Mother's Day coming up, I think that it's just a good topic to discuss. Because when we get married, one of the vows that we take to God and the church,
and to your wife,
to your wife in front of God and the church.
You
take the vow
speak
to
the
your
vow
wife.
to your wife, yeah.
In front of God and His church, that you would love and honor her all the days of her life.
Of your life.
Of your life.
Yeah, because even if she dies, you still have to love and honor her.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is love? I mean, I think we understand what love means, right? Especially we've gone over this on the Catholic Man Show many of times. Like, the love is not necessarily just a feeling, because feelings come and go, but love is, you know, willing the good of the other, so that ultimately they would have full beatitude.
You will their ultimate good,
right?
Yeah.
With God in heaven, right? But honor is a little different. Honor seems to be a little bit more foreign to us in America, especially in this day and age, as honor has dwindled in different offices throughout the world, right? And so I wanted to talk about, like, well, what does it mean to honor your wife? What does that really entail? How do you practically do it? And so one of the things I think we should start out with is, so marriage.
Marriage.
The reason why we're here
is what brings us together today. I just watched that the other day.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. Like, when we were finished with Exodus, Pamela had been wanting to watch it. It's her favorite movie. So, it's the first movie we watched after Exodus.
Nice.
It really is. It's a great movie.
There's this commentary on Casti Connubii, which is an encyclical written by Pope Pius the 11th, I believe. Or
also,
12th?
I think of all of the encyclicals, it has the funnest name.
Casti Connubii.
Casti Connubii. I mean, it's like, that's just a sweet name.
Christian marriage. It talks about, there's a commentary on the encyclical, and it talks about how the choice of love is an action. When you act and do good deeds, you're receptive to grace. Assuming that you're in this state of grace. By receiving more grace, you are then united more with Christ and desire not only your own good but others' goods.
Yeah.
Meaning you do more good deeds because you desire His will, which ends up giving you more grace when you accomplish those deeds. And the commentary was basically saying how beautiful it is that when you live the sacramental life in marriage, it is this saint-making sacrament of like a Trinitarian form of loving one another, receiving that love, receiving grace from that the action to give it back to the next person.
It's a cycle.
It's just a cycle. And so I was thinking, like, well, I think the best way to start out by honoring your wife is by not giving her your crosses.
Totally.
So one of the things that happens whenever you get married, there's two things that happen almost immediately. You realize, one, we have new responsibilities, right? There's different responsibilities. Like you're gonna be doing something, I'm gonna be doing something. We're one together, but there's different responsibilities to make this thing go.
Mm-hmm.
We can't all be doing the same thing at the same time. It's not, it's not conducive to a flourishing home. And so if we're doing separate things, that means that, Haley has certain things that she has to do to help the home. I have certain things that I have to do. If I don't do those things, then somebody else has to pick up that slack.
Right, and it's going to be her.
And so now what's happening is the things that I am in charge of doing that's helping this idea of sacrificial love, this self-denial. I'm denying myself what I want to do for the sake of the other, for the sake of this domestic church that we have started. I've now denied myself that, adding it to hers, and denying this.
If you don't do that the right way, now it's a problem for her. It's the opposite. The opposite happens.
Which
makes it worse.
Which breaks the circle
right.
of good deeds and meritorious grace.
Es problema. I was really hoping for more out of this whiskey. Like, my first cider cask finish.
Right.
Like, I figured it would be spicy and have more. I thought there would be more there because cider is delicious.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I assumed it was going to be.
Which one was the scotch we had 2 weeks ago that broke the yummy scale?
Kilchoman.
I'm gonna get some of that.
But I thought it was beautiful that that commentary on Cask Canubie, like this meritorious grace, like we're here.
It's a circle,
right? We're here on this earth to gain merit, and we do that through suffering.
How do you differentiate between? You said you don't let her carry your cross, but there are some crosses that are meant to be shared.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how do you differentiate which cross you share and which crosses you carry?
You just make sure you're doing the things you're supposed to do.
Like there are things that you, as the man of the house, should be doing. There are things that you together as husband and wife should be doing.
There's going to be trials in life that you both experience. You could call those crosses. I mean, I think that's fair. But, like sometimes, like if you lose a child, like that's a cross you're both going to carry. But you can't do, it's not like you could do more so that she didn't have to carry it. She's just going to have to carry it just like you. Okay.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. Drinking a little bit of this Two and More Dew cider cask finish. Talking about honoring the heart of the home, honoring the wife.
Mm-hmm. So we're starting off with things not to do.
Or things, or things that you should be doing.
I think a common mistake people make in the beginning of marriage is, that they don't have their perceptions and expectations are not ordered properly. Which is understandable because they've never been married before, right? So, but I think that what a lot of people do is that they mistake their spouse for God, okay? So they look to their spouse as their source of fulfillment and happiness instead of realizing that your spouse is actually not here to make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
And is actually incapable of giving you happiness, because only God can give you the fulfillment and happiness that you're looking for in life. Right. And so you just don't make the mistake of hanging your hat on a hook that can't bear the weight, because your spouse is not. And so you're doing a dishonor. You're not honoring her when you do that, because what you're doing, kind of like what you were saying, is you're putting a huge burden on her. Mm-hmm. And I think this is part of why you see I think that this adds to the divorce rate a lot when people get married expecting I'm going in this, she's going to make me happy, you know, and the culture kind of promotes this idea of, oh, my soulmate, you know, as if like this person is my other half, you know, and now that I have my other half, I'll be complete. Okay. Like that's all just bunk. She's not your other half. She's a person. Just, and now you're married, you're going to be doing this thing together for the rest of your life. And it's going to be great. But God is and always will be the source of fulfillment, not your spouse, right? And so if you look to them and you go into it with this expectation that they're the one who's going to bring you all this happiness, well, it's not going to work, you know?
No, I totally agree. And we can skip down to that bullet point.
Is that on here?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, but I think it's an important thing because anybody who's been married for a considerable amount of time will know this very thing, that your spouse will let you down. That they're gonna fall short of expectation.
Right.
And so there's gonna be wounds in the marriage. Either expectations weren't fulfilled, they were unrealistic. All of a sudden, you know, there's a beauty in when two come together as one, and the virtue of one propels the other one to a higher good. Right? You can see that, her virtue makes this man a better man, and he strives for higher, better things, and vice versa.
St. Paul talks about that.
Right. However, after, you know, when you've been married for a considerable amount of time, you see that the rearing head of ugly vices that are also attached to this person makes their appearance.
Right.
And so, you know, when you marry the person, you marry the full person.
Yeah.
So virtues and vices. And sometimes those vices cut deep into the marriage. And when that happens...
Well, they will. I mean...
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, not sometimes. I mean, if you have vices, they're going to cause problems. And that's one of the things that it's a lifelong mission that we all have, is self-mastery, right? And the conquering by God's grace of those vices. And your spouse is going to really, he or she is the one who can help you with that the most, because they're the ones who are going to have to deal with them the most, right? So they're kind of the backdrop. You know, like if it's dark outside, you can't see dark figures in front of you. But then all of a sudden, if there's a white sheet that's put up, all of a sudden you can kind of see those dark figures with this white sheet behind them. In many ways, that's the way your spouse is, you know, because these vices you have in your life, without somebody else to have to deal with them, they don't. You don't often notice how big of a problem they really are. So then you get married, and all you
of a
realize,
sudden
this is a big problem.
Spotlights are, you know, shown on vices.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes when that happens, men are very willing to not engage in the tough conversations. And I think this is what turns men into workaholics. I think this can turn men into alcoholics, affairs, like whatever else. Because if there's turbulence in the home, the man will separate that and like invest his time and energy into something else, whether it be work, drink, women, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And obviously this is a huge problem. And it's because the man is not willing to sit down and confront the disappointments or weaknesses in the marriage and say, you know, we've talked about this before on the show, that when you build up this domestic church, when two become one and you build a domestic church together, and you're living in this triune church, this with the Lord, language is very important. And the language of the domestic church sometimes involves the "I'm sorries," the "Will you forgive me?" Here I plan, like, I'm so sorry I hurt you. Here's what I'm planning on doing to get better.
Yeah,
and
just having open lines of communication.
Right.
I mean, if you and your spouse can't communicate about things, then You need to work on that. I mean, that's something that
Right.
maybe you need someone to help you with that, and that's just fine.
So this is what I was going to bring up, right? So instead of investing the time like into work and going extra over and above in this other aspect, which is I've seen men do that with work. I've seen men do that even in the church. You know, they go and instead of going home and dealing with the problems at home, they're going to go to the church and be a part of the men's club and all the other things that the church can offer in avoidance of the arduous things that have to happen at home. And if men are not willing to fight for their marriage is going to crumble.
Yeah. If you're not willing to fight yourself.
Right.
Because that's what it comes down to is it's a battle that you have to fight with yourself against yourself.
Right. And so there's no weakness. It takes a great source of humility in a man, virtue, right? To say, we need help from outside. We need professional help. And it means enough to me that I want to do this so that way we can move forward in our lives.
Yeah.
Because if you're not willing to fight for your marriage, no one will be. And so there's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in seeking marriage counseling. There
could be a lot of shame in not asking for help.
Right.
You know, someday at your judgment, you're going to be looking back at a marriage that, you know, maybe you struggled for a long time only because you just wouldn't ask somebody for help. You know, like the Lord is sitting here waiting.
You were too prideful
for you to be
ask.
Open, you know, and like get just some basic help.
Now, here's this is a good kind of bleed into the next thing that you should not do, which is I don't think that it's good if you are having like serious marriage problems to be going and seeking like advice from friends in a way that you are now portraying your wife in a bad light.
Yeah.
I
totally agree.
There's this mask of in your mind that you can think of like, I'm just trying to get help. But what ends up happening is the man is really just airing out his dirty laundry about his wife
and looking for someone to agree with him and
right.
say, "Oh yeah, it's her."
Right. Like, "Oh man, I can't believe she's doing that." Like and that speaking ill of your wife in public goes directly against
or just with other people. I mean, if it's not even in public.
Well,
also don't talk to your mom about it. You know,
but that goes directly against I want to go back to that real quick because I think it's very important to make sure we understand that like when we make the vow to her to honor her, there's no honor in speaking ill about her to other people.
Right. Yeah. So that's exactly the thing is that it's not that okay, you might have a close friend who knows both of you very well, who like could give you some good advice. Okay, that might be okay. It depends on that friend, and it depends on how well they do know. Are you both friends with them, right? Like, or are you
gonna put them in a tough situation as well?
Yeah, that's true. And so I think that you and your spouse need to decide. You know, hey, you know, is this a person that you and I could both talk to? You know, I mean, if they're open to it, probably you should just look for a good Catholic counselor somewhere.
Right. Go ask your priest for a good Catholic counselor. Maybe your priest is.
I think there's a website, CatholicCounselors.com.
Something like that. Yeah.
I think.
But I think also when we get into men's groups and things like that, there's a tendency of ragging on your wife.
Yeah.
In the group, like, oh well, my wife just doesn't do X, Y, or Z, and then there's a piling on, and not only should you not be doing that, like, actively, but you should not passively be doing that. Meaning, you should not allow your other friends to talk bad about their wives in the group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Pamela and I, when we were married, obviously, you know, we took our vows to honor it and uphold each other, but we also like made it specific. And in addition to that, we just agreed between ourselves we would never say anything bad about each other to anybody else. Mm-hmm. Just because that's not what I want to do. I mean, she's my wife.
Well, you choose to love her.
Right.
You choose to love her every single day.
Right.
This goes back to what is truly love, but you choose to love her, to will the good of her, so that she and you can be in heaven for all of eternity.
Right. And it's actually not hard to do, to not talk bad about her. Now, you might develop bad habits And all of a sudden you might find that it is a struggle if you have bad habits. But
we've talked about backbiting before in a previous episode. Knowingly backbiting on purpose is a mortal sin.
Can be.
I said knowingly.
Okay, well.
Aquinas says that.
It's nuanced.
But friends don't let friends sin.
That's true. Doesn't it have to be? It has to be like something. I forget exactly what Aquinas said about it, but it wasn't like, backbiting on purpose equals mortal sin. It's like, well,
no,
it had to be like
in the Summa they ask, if I remember correctly, they ask, is backbiting considered a grave matter? And he says, yes, it is always considered grave matter.
Yeah, to me, like, it depends on what it is you're saying. Like,
well, if you're ruining somebody's reputation when they're not there.
Yeah,
they cannot be.
If you're saying something that's going to ruin their reputation,
well,
that's pretty clear cut.
That's backbiting.
But you could say something that still doesn't paint them in a great light, So it's not a black and white. There's not black and white outcomes. So it's nuanced. They should just go listen to the episode.
Mm-hmm. I should go back and listen to the episode. Yeah.
Listo.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles here with Adam Minahan. We're talking about honoring your wife. Actually, so far we're talking about not dishonoring your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to get to actually the positive?
Okay. Yeah. So before the break, though, we were talking about like not talking poorly about your wife, or painting her in a bad manner to other people, right? There's no honor in that. If you're not going to honor your wife, who is going to honor your wife?
Right.
And so that's a huge problem.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that as time goes in marriage, if you don't intentionally make effort to do this, you kind of don't know your wife. You kind of lose sight of what made you fall in love with this woman, because you get wrapped up in the monotony of the ordinary life, of ordinary days, of getting up, going to work, coming home, eating, feeding the children, getting them down, extracurricular activities, getting them down to sleep, getting up, and doing this whole cyclical thing over and over and over again. And you don't make time for your wife. And remember, what is it about her that made me fall in love with her?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't remember those kind of things, like, I'm not sure, like if you can't remember those things, like what made you, I think you just start drifting apart.
Well, she becomes harder to love
because you can't know, like, you can't love those things that you know.
What you don't know, right? I'm a big proponent of the 5 love languages. I know we've talked about that before on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But in the words of Dr. Gary Chapman, so he talks about, different people experience love. They feel love from different things, whether it's gifts, words of affirmation, physical touch, so on. If you can if you can fill up what Dr. Gary Chapman calls your wife's love tank, he says you'll never want another woman. You will have another woman. If you can fill up her love tank, she's going to be another woman. She's going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a story once told that back in the medieval times, there was a dowry, that for the women, when you were going to marry the person, right? And on average, the dowry was 3 coins, 5 coins, or 8 coins if the wife was just perfect, right?
Wow, all right.
8 coins was considered the cream of the crop. Beautiful woman, has all the tangibles.
I don't know the value of these coins. 8 doesn't seem like a very big number, but
Right. Well, so
Must have been real nice coins.
So the guy who's getting married picks out his wife, and she's not considered a very good looking wife.
Okay.
Not great on the pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
Doesn't really know a whole lot about how to make a home. Just didn't have all the tangibles that or the intangibles that people look for in a wife. He paid 20 coins.
Okay.
And his buddy was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" His friend moves away, and so the friend, so he goes and tries to find him because he was like, "Why would you pay 20 coins for this woman?"
Yeah.
Comes back, finds the woman, finds both of them, and she's become this beautiful woman, and they have just this loving relationship. And he goes, "Well, why did you pay 20 coins for this woman? No one ever pays 20 coins.
Yeah.
For this woman." And he said, "I would never want my wife to think that I wouldn't give everything I could for her."
Mm-hmm. Could have done the same thing for a better looking woman, but
What if you fell in love?
Right? Yeah. Okay. I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I thought the dowry though came from the dad. I thought it was like the dad.
Yeah, this is just
whatever the culture and whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Eastern cultures they do.
They provide the husband provides the money to the wife.
Right.
In the event he dies, and that way she can survive.
Yeah, like in Eastern cultures, it's like a man might go up to the father and say, "How many camels? How many camels would you for your daughter?"
Right.
How many camels do you have? I don't know.
Anyway, I don't know why I told that story, but I think the purpose is like you should always intentionally make your wife the queen.
So like when it comes
to
buying
Juan wanted to say something.
Oh.
I just want to say a quick story. My cousin actually got offered like 95 camels for her in the Middle East once.
Really?
Wow, 95 camels. I don't know what the exchange
what is
rate.
the going rate?
Don't know. She just ran away.
That's a good rule of thumb. Yeah.
It's like, what the heck am I gonna do with 95 camels? Get out of here with your camels. That's how I feel about it. Like, do I look like when you look at me, do I look like a person who wants a camel? Because I don't. I don't want a single camel, much less 95. You think I have like a truck full of hay? I don't know what camels eat. But I don't have that, okay?
Whatever that is.
And 95 camels?
It's a lot.
Look, you can't pass off your camels on me, all right? You got to feed those camels. That's how I feel about it.
So here's something that I'm not very good at.
Okay.
I try to be a structured man. You get up at certain times. We had the episode about defense of the intellectual life and being disciplined and doing things right.
Disciplined,
thank you. And I also, on my phone, make alarms so that I do not forget to pray.
Sure.
One thing that I'm not good at is guarding time for my wife to pray. Guarding her time. Like, so I'm so busy in getting up, making sure I can work out, making sure I can, have my prayer time, making sure that I can read, getting off to work, coming back, taking care of the kids. Like, I don't ever ask, nor do I make sure that I'm giving her the opportunity for prayer.
Yeah.
So my wife, who, and I know all homes are all different, and look all different, but in our home, at least we homeschool, and so my wife immediately gets up and basically, school's starting. Now, she prayer is heavily intertwined in school. But just as we've talked about,
still, that's not the.
But just as we've talked about before, the benefit, one of the beauty
time,
the beauty of Exodus 90 is providing that time of contemplative prayer.
Sure.
Do I give her and guard her time for her to have prayer?
Mm-hmm.
And does that mean that I need to go take the kids away for a little bit in the morning?
Maybe.
Does that mean that? I make sure once I get home to give her time, whenever her prayer time is, do I respect her time enough for prayer to make sure that she can accomplish that?
So Pamela and I, we pray in the morning together. I mean, not together. We both, I encouraged her, a couple years ago to pick this, the habit that I had come to really fall in love with due to Exodus 90. It's like, Pamela, I really think this is just changing my life. I really think you should do it too. And it's difficult for her, and it's the same with Lady Haley. When you're nursing a baby who needs to wake up in the night, the idea, like the ability to get up early in the morning to pray, like I can, like you can, it's not the same.
Correct.
So the way that I kind of guard that prayer time with her is helping make sure we go to bed on time, because then now because if we don't, then definitely not going to be able to get up before the kids do to pray. And so sometimes maybe her prayer time is only 15 minutes, total. I'm not talking about 15 minutes of silent prayer. I mean, total. But she's nursing, and and the kids get up. Right now, she has got all these other jobs. It's not like she's slacking off because the baby woke up in the night, right? So the great thing about your vocation is that the Lord fills. He makes up the difference with His own grace, right? And that you actually don't need to do any more than that. And the saints, the saints have talked about this. When your vocation demands something of you that interferes with even your prayer life, then that's the way it is, and you don't sacrifice your vocation.
Right.
Your kids need a dad.
My mom and dad, who are retired, their prayer life now looks much different.
Oh yeah.
Than what it did whenever we were being raised.
And what would be required of them?
Right.
For a prayer life would be different than like a mom. So anyway, that's just what we do. And it's been really great. When we can both pray together in the morning. Now she got to get up before the kids do. I mean, that is something that has to happen.
I think though that is the importance of having this open communication. Like, listen, if you're the spiritual leader of your family and you're not having communications with your wife on how is her prayer life going and how can you assist in making sure that she has a prayer life in some capacity, what kind of spiritual leader are you? I mean, that's like a priest coming into his parish and never asking anybody how their prayer life is going, never talking about prayer, never making time for prayer, just doing admin work to the nth degree. I mean, that's not a good priest. That's not a good father.
Right.
That's not a good husband. That's not fulfilling your vocation. And so I think that as men, I think it's important, especially as husbands, to make sure that we have those conversations and talk about, when is it that you feel like you should be praying? How can I help you? Obviously you hope that you guys are praying together every night, every day. But that's something that I think that is incredibly important as spiritual leaders of our family that I think can go unlooked.
Yeah, you got to lead the way. So,
Right.
don't expect your wife should pray whether you do or not, but don't go to her and expect her to pray if you're not doing it also.
Right. So we're out of time on Catholic Radio. Go check us out at thecatholicmanshow.com. You can check out over 350 episodes that we've done over the course of 7 years. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Cheers.
So we don't have to, maybe we don't have to get there right now because I think we have some other things still in the pipeline here. But before we close, I want to ask you about how do you honor a wife who's not worthy of honor? So think about that. What if you have a wife who just isn't? Hypothetically speaking, I'm not saying that it actually exists.
Sure, because I don't think so.
Not in my house, it doesn't exist.
I can't imagine it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
I just want to get there because I think it's a good question.
Sure. I also think though that you see one thing of not honoring your wife and things that can lead into dangerous waters is just indifference.
Indifference is the death nail in a marriage.
If you see a man who's she asks a question, it's just like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. And it's more like, I just want you to be quiet. Like I don't care, only because, not because I want what's best for you or whatever you think is best, but just because I just don't want to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, no, I think even psychologists will tell you indifference is that is like the last thing, the stages that you go through in separation, because you emotionally separate before you actually divorce somebody. And indifference is like one of the last stages before you just get divorced, right? Because you just couldn't care less about this person anymore. You're not even angry at them. You're actually beyond being angry. I've disassociated with so much. You can't even make me angry.
Right.
That's how
I just don't even care.
That's how little I care about you. Back when I cared about you, I was invested in you, and so when things didn't go well, I was upset. Now I just, I just don't even. And so in many ways, indifference is the opposite of love, not hatred. Hatred is like, can be the opposite, but most of the time, the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is like lust. The opposite of love is indifference.
Being apathetic.
Right. Yeah, so indifference is absolutely the worst thing that can happen in your marriage.
And I think the thing about indifference is that sometimes we men do ourselves the favors by not being clear about what things we just don't want to have control over. So there is things in our house that we could say, I trust you to do these things. I don't care about the details.
Yeah.
Right? But if we are sloppy or if we are not careful, it comes off as like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, I just don't care. And then the wife gets this head.
She thinks that,
oh, you just don't care.
Because maybe it's very important to her.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, he doesn't care about these things that are so important to me. When I was getting married, when I was engaged, Pamela and I are doing all these, invitations and all this stuff. And I made sure to set the tone. And I told her, like, Pamela, I see that you're working very hard on all these things. I'm really glad about that. And you're having to make all these choices. And I just want you to know that I don't care about any of them. That being said, if you want me to decide, I will be the decider. If you need a decision made, I got you, babe. And I will decide. And even after I've decided, if you realize at that moment, oh, you hoped I would pick the other one, you go for it and you just go ahead and you do that other one. Because even though I've now seen the difference between an embossed lettering and like a raised lettering, I still don't know what the difference is, and I can't tell the difference, and I don't care which one we use to invite people to our wedding, if it's embossed or not, or if it's a cream or like a tan.
Or off-white.
Or off-white, exactly. This is eggshell, or, it's like...
Satin.
Pamela, I love you, and I don't care about the invitations or these other things, but if you need someone to make a decision... I will swoop in and I will decide. There will be no rhyme or reason to my decision other than you want me to do it, and so I will do it. And she appreciated that. That conversation went over well. It probably was a little different than what I just said, but she did appreciate that. That, hey, I want you to know, I'm just telling you, I don't care about. Right. You're working really hard on this. I get it. It needs to be done. So I'm here with you to do it. And I will help you in the ways that I'm capable of helping you.
I think that
I'm not capable of caring, though.
So I think, though, one of the things that you did really well, though, was just acknowledging some of her work.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that as you get,
I wanted her to feel appreciated.
Right.
But also, be honest about my role in this process.
Sure. So, but feeling appreciated, is a fruit of feeling loved.
Yeah, it's not indifferent.
It's not indifferent.
I'm indifferent towards the outcome of this invitation, but I'm not indifferent towards her.
Right. So she goes to great lengths of making your house a home. You better be thankful for that. Mm-hmm. She goes to great lengths of making your boys gentlemen.
Yeah.
You better be thankful for that. She brings order to the chaos of homeschooling. You better be thankful, and you better let her know that you are thankful for that.
And you know what? I just feel like as men, we're very fortunate because women are just in general, I think, a lot more virtuous in relate like their relationship virtues are just come more naturally, right? So if you honor your wife, she's gonna honor you back. You know what I mean? And I've seen it a lot of times where women will sit there and just pour their hearts out and dote and honor their husbands, and those husbands in return just don't do anything. You know, and it doesn't seem to go the same way. So, but for us as husbands, we're very fortunate that in general, if you honor and treat your wife the right way, then she's going to turn around and she's going to do the same thing for you.
Totally. What was your question again that you wanted to talk about?
Okay, so we're talking about honoring your wife. What if your wife is not worthy of honor? What if you have a dishonorable wife? I mean, because it would be disordered to honor something that is undeserving of honor. Now, of course, a person, now she still is in the office of spouse, if you want to call it. So there still is like a level of honor, but so ultimately, really though, a lot of the honor comes from like your behavior. It's like honor culture wasn't just because like, oh, you're a dude, therefore you have honor. No, you had to behave honorably to receive honor. And if you didn't behave honorably, then no one was going to honor you. So if you have a wife who is not honorable, how do you honor her?
Well, I think you have to go back. Well, yeah, so I think there's a couple things. I think you should go back and, like, where did we get off the rails? Because odds are you can sit there and say, like, look at all the things that she's done, and where it went off the rails is probably coming right back at you.
Yeah.
And so there's a reason why she's acting the way she is. And you've either trained, like, your relationship has trained one another to say, I do this, then she does this, and then we get upset, and then we go into different rooms. And,
right. And revenge behavior.
Right. Yeah. So that could be something.
Yeah.
But I don't know, my gut feeling to this is that you took a vow to her to always honor her. And so even though she may not, like, as a person, like it's different than respect, right? Like you earn respect. Like, like I don't have to respect you. Respect is earned, not given. But I took a vow to freely give honor to you. And so regardless of what you do, I still love you and I still have to honor you.
That's what I think too. That's what I think the answer is, that there are going to be some honors that a dishonorable spouse won't receive. They won't receive my accolades. Like if hypothetically, if a person is married, they're not going to receive accolades from their spouse. They're not going to receive, more than the bare minimum. But at the end of the day, you took a vow to honor her.
I disagree. I don't think that I think they deserve
way
more.
Bare minimum is not the right.
Yeah,
that's a bad term. Okay. I mean what's required of you, as a spouse. You have to honor her. You have to, because you took a vow, right? So, but does that mean that you're going to like go out of your way to sing her praises in public, when the public knows? Hey, no, that's not true, because actually you're actually just doing her a dishonor.
Right, because you're so I mean, prudence obviously comes like into play here, right? But you freely gave these gifts, and it's unconditional, right? This is something that I've really been thinking about in my prayer life. Is how I truly desire to love unconditionally. Like I desire that, but I'm terrible at it, and I don't even ask for it.
I'm so
don't
good at loving unconditionally when I feel like it.
right. Lead me when I want to be
Right.
led.
Whenever the conditions are right,
Right.
I can love
But-
unconditionally.
But how often in your prayer do you pray for the grace of unconditional love to your wife? How often do you pray for for your kids?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is just a reflection of my faults.
You're such a bad father.
But like this is something that I've really been like. There are things that I deeply desire to live, a holy and saintly life. Like I desire them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so sad and pathetic that the things that I deeply desire, I don't actually bring to our Lord and ask Him for them.
The things I want to do, I do not do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, but I don't even ask for them, because you don't think He wants to give them to me. Like my heart is like desiring Him,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, I have the knowledge that I want to desire Him, but then I don't have the either fortitude or the wherewithal, or I don't know what it is to say, Lord, give that to me, so that I can be a man after Your heart.
Well, you should ask.
Well, I've started doing so.
Okay, good. That's good.
Um,
Good first step.
But I just think there's a lot of things that we see as a husband. Like we see our own weak points, right? You can see, if you are a man of reflection, if you're a man of contemplation, you can sit there and see. If you do examination of conscience, say, like, you can see where you fall.
Yeah.
And okay, this is the vice that I'm struggling with. Am I praying actively for the grace of and the virtue
To overcome
it?
Yeah.
Because the Lord
Should
wants
be.
it.
Yeah.
So
about honoring your wife, a dishonorable wife, I think ultimately the answer is the way you honor a dishonorable wife is just by being the best husband you can be, regardless.
Right. Because there's no
matter
conditions.
what. Right. Because I didn't take a vow that she would be good. I just took a vow that I would be good.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what she does.
In good and bad times, in sickness and health.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter how dishonorable she might be. I'm not going to get judged by the things that she does.
Mm-hmm.
I will be judged by the things that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm her husband, so I have to be the best husband I can be, no matter what. I think that's really the way you honor her the most.
Well, I wanted to add to reinforce on Adam's response on kind of like, if she's not honorable, something is wrong with you. Dr. Cutterback has this class on fatherhood and being on being a man, and in the marriage he has this point about, I think, the pitfall that sometimes men can fall to, bringing back that work, right? That like workaholism, is we think that our responsibility has been met by providing. Like, I've made the paycheck.
I paid the mortgage.
I paid the mortgage. I've done my part.
Yeah.
I've done my job, and that's the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's arduous to have a 9-to-5 job. There's a lot of sacrifice to it, but it's also good to recognize all the things that are after that. So that we cannot emphasize enough how much everything in your household is ultimately up to you. You set the tone, you set the responsibilities, you set the priorities. So
I think that's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's men of the household. That's a class. Back to the quarterback.
I like him.
Which is free if you go sign up. So
nice.
It's excellent class.
Nice.
So honor your wife,
who is the heart of the home.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's true that the adage "happy